this is team one for the Global Information Systems course. We did our study abroad trip on Sweden, which we are kind of calling Sustainably Sweden. It's a trip that focused on the academic, historical, cultural, and sustainable development contributions of Sweden, and gave students, hopefully would give students an opportunity to interact in, a real in-person method. So we're all going to kind of introduce ourselves and discuss the variety of deliverables that we're going to be covering in the following slides. And I'll hand it off to Josh, who's going to be the first one that you'll be working with.
Thank you, Nate. My name is Josh Bergen. I am a supply chain and computer information systems major. I will be covering in this presentation A1 through A2, which is the project kickoff, work breakdown structure, and work breakdown structure dictionary.
Hello, my name is Madison Haithcock. I am a computer information systems major, and I will be looking at A3 and A4. A3 is designing and developing a trip itinerary, and A4 is mapping and visualizing a virtual study abroad itinerary.
Hello, my name is Laura Tickle. I am a CIS cybersecurity major, and I'll be covering deliverables A5 and A6. A5 is our walking tour using Google Maps or Google Earth, excuse me. And A6 is our auto transcription service.
My name is Nick Osterhout. I'm a management major, and I'll be covering A7, cultural activity treasure hunt, and A10, online marketing analytics.
Hi, my name is Lillian Schreiner, and I'm an international business major, and I will cover A8 and A9. And A8 is our sales pitch, and A9 is our multimedia presentation.
We really enjoyed getting to work together on a team on this project, and we hope that has translated through the following presentation. So thank you.
This artifact is our project agenda. This was a culmination of all of the objectives that we had to complete during A1, starting with our team formulation, developing our SMART goals. We worked to assemble this formal document that covers the basic premise of our project, project plans, defining our goals, defining our project purpose. Our first section on our agenda is the project description. I'll go ahead and read this. This group assignment focuses on developing the availability to use emerging information technologies in the global context. An international and experiential learning approach is adopted to increase the opportunities for students to practice business, intercultural communication, and technological skills in the context of designing, planning, and executing a virtual study abroad trip. The ability to deliver an exciting virtual study abroad trip will broaden the international horizon and impact local and global communities. This was an overall description of what we wanted to plan our trip and how we wanted to implement it. Implementing these goals, we would work through the rest of this section to develop a strategy to implement all of these goals and hopes that we would have for these projects. The second part of the description is our user story that we made. We took on the role as an educational consultant. So our user story goes as follows. As an education consultant, I want to identify ways for students to use technology to assist in Sweden's pursuit of sustainable development goals. Following this, we have our purpose. We laid out what we wanted to achieve by the end of the meeting. Again, this is our going over kickoff meeting. We assigned roles to each individual team member, as you can see there. We also laid out project assumptions, maybe barriers that we would have to get over, technology that we want to use. We made a basic project plan, an overview of the coming weeks, and we used the Fibonacci sequence to come together and decide on a country. Our team worked really well together. This was a pretty seamless process, and we quickly came to the conclusion that our country that we wanted to look into was Sweden. We chose our study abroad method, which was an in-person travel abroad trip. We set goals for students in the project, as well as laying out key success factors, looking at what we need to do to accomplish our goals and our plan. This next part of the agenda is the last part of the agenda, and it set up our meeting times, what we expected out of each other, communication paths, questions, answers, trying to organize what times are best for everybody, most suitable for everybody to meet, as well as a summary of our meeting and decisions that we've made. I want to go ahead and say that I'm very proud of our team. Everybody was more than willing to create time in their week to meet for team meetings and get assignments done on time. I believe we stayed on track every week, even working ahead most weeks. I think that we achieved our goals. If not, we exceeded them. I think we probably averaged 2 meetings per week. So again, I'm really proud of my group doing a very, very good job of this. Also, part of A1 was using tools that included pruning the product tree. This tool helps visualize and create a timeline for deliverables that we foresee down the road. It has 4 main sections, being the main trunk, so the main deliverable, creating a project, all the way up to the beginnings of the branches closest to the trunk or current deliverables. So picking a country, narrowing down the social development goals that we want to focus on. Moving further out to the outer branches, you have near term, so deliverables that we will be focusing on in the near future, and eventually out to the branches in the very far regions. You could be called leaves at this point, to future deliverables, something way down the road. So scheduling events, getting down to the nitty gritty. And it just kind of works its way from the trunk out, from closest to furthest in the future. There's also a basket at the bottom for seeds. These are just ideas of deliverables that we might implement. These seeds could be done while we make this initially, or during the process you can come back and add or take out seeds as you go along. Another tool that we used during A1 kickoff was the sailboat. And this tool helps identify risks and assesses future obstacles, but also things that will be helpful and things to look forward to when looking at our project. The sailboat tool is divided up into 4 sections. The first section was the top left, wind in our sails. This identifies what has helped us move forward, what has been successful so far, and what has excited us or motivated us. So successfully selected an overall destination for our trip. This was pretty exciting. I feel like this whole process, the beginning process, kickoff, was an exciting time, getting to be creative. Our group, again, came together very quickly. Everybody got along very well, even throughout the whole process, whole project. I'm very happy with that. So we had very early success. We had great momentum moving into the first week. The second category will be the top right, beacons on the horizon. So what are milestones that we can look forward to? What are the goals that we have? What can we get excited about in the future? So a few of these were teach students about Sweden's commitment to achieving SDGs, gaining more knowledge on Sweden's technological advancements relating to those SDGs, So we were very excited to learn a little bit more about how Sweden is implementing technological change. It is a very, very exciting topic for our group. Engage local culture, food, and experiences. This one's always a big one when thinking about study abroad. And establish transportation to different excursions in cities. We were looking forward to kind of being a trip planner. It is more of a fun activity in my mind than most. But then going down under the water, you do have the anchors holding us back. So what is dragging us down? What has kept us from making progress? And when did we fall or flounder? So some of these that we included were selecting which SDGs would be best to focus on. This was kind of a difficult process as there are 17, and it can be applied to many different situations or examples. So this was something that we kind of stumbled and fumbled around with, trying to focus down on, especially in the beginning. Establishing a budget and sticking to it. Also, again, it was difficult to kind of foresee or estimate some of these costs other than flights. Looking into what we can take students, or where we can take students. Will they be welcomed as students? Will they learn? Just some things that we were kind of unforeseeable that we were kind of working through. And then I'll take us to barriers we see ahead, so the bottom right. These were things that we were looking forward to, at least not in the sense of we were excited to, but things that we knew that were upcoming that would be challenges, language barriers, potential cancellations, establishing safe travel once we were in Sweden, even just getting to Sweden. Again, these processes can be highly regulated. The work breakdown structure leads us into A2. In this objective, we started with defining the project scope, establishing project priorities, and this allowed us to create the basis for our work breakdown structure. So a work breakdown structure is a hierarchical outline or map that identifies a project's products and work elements. It also defines the relationship of final deliverable or the project to its sub-deliverables and the relationships to the work packages. Again, looking at how this helps the project manager, or in this case the managers, make decisions. The work breakdown structure facilitates evaluation of organization costs, time, and technical performance. Provides management with information appropriate to each organizational level. We have 7. Helps in the development of organization breakdown structure, or OBS, and that is the chart that you see attached to the bottom. The organizational breakdown structure, again at the bottom, depicts how the firm is organized to discharge its work responsibly for a project. Provides a framework to summarize organization of works in the unit of performance. Taking a closer look at our work breakdown structure, you can see that we have 7 main objectives. 1 being project management, 2 being travel, 3 academic, 4 cultural, 5 recruiting, 6 survival, and 7 social. You can see preceding these immediately are our subsections. This divides it up into smaller sections that are easier to understand and to apply to our project when we are working through trying to achieve these strategies. Underneath each subsection column, we have our organizational breakdown chart. Here, we listed our assigned roles that we assigned in our initial kickoff meeting, and this distributes responsibility to all roles in case we need changes, questions, or challenges that come up concerning any of these subsections. We have our roles and responsibilities laid out in this. Our second objective in A2 was to create a work breakdown structure dictionary and coding system for our work breakdown structure. If you noticed on the previous slide, there were numbers associated with each subsection and main section. Here in this dictionary, we laid out in an even more understandable, more oriented way each objective level, starting with 1 through 7, listing each subsection with a point system for coding this, and then laying out the name and WBS description. Here you can go into more details and descriptions of each subsection for further development of ideas, as well as the coding system allows us to reference subsections further down in the development process of the entire project. This kind of is something that our team can come back to and reference if we ever get confused or want to check and make sure that we are applying these objectives properly, or if we are hitting the point that we wanted to drive home.
The third assignment was to design and develop a trip itinerary. The first step of this process was to make an itinerary using Trip Hobo. Over Zoom, Nick made an account and we collectively filled out all of the necessary information, such as dates and locations, to make our first trip itinerary. On this slide, the picture on the left shows the output Trip Hobo made for us. When you click on the link, it will take you to a video showcasing the full itinerary. This original itinerary had suggestions for places to go and places to eat, with timestamps laying out everything one may want to see when they're going on vacation. Of course, this is an academic study abroad trip, so there were many things we needed to edit. This is when the second and third picture come into play, as we edited the itinerary in Google Sheets to better fit the criteria needed for this assignment. We changed the hotels into hostels that were student-friendly and more affordable. We also changed restaurants so we did not necessarily have something planned every day, as to allow more leeway for students on the trip. A large part of an academic trip is to make sure that 3 bases are covered when planning excursions: academic, social, and cultural activities. These plans are seen in the middle picture. We also needed to stay on top of our finances, which are shown in the final picture. We kept track of the costs for transportation, housing, planned meals, and activities. From here, we could see how much each student would need to pay to go on this trip, while also financing the faculty going along. The second link on the slide will take you to our Google Sheet, the first sheet being the trip itinerary and the second showing the financial breakdown. The fourth assignment for our study abroad trip to Sweden was to map and visualize a virtual study abroad itinerary. Luckily, the hardest part was already completed, which was the building of the itinerary. So at this point, we already knew everywhere the students would go as a part of the trip, as we mapped out on slide 11, the previous slide. To get this assignment started, we needed to learn how to work Google Earth and how to build a presentation with it. After each of our team members watched the Google Earth tutorial video, we were ready to get started. We have 12 days in Sweden, as well as 2 traveling days, so we had 16 days in total to divvy up to each team member to map out on Google Earth. With the days assigned to each of us, we would enter and customize all major stopover places and attractions. From there, we would map and connect all stopover places by drawing lines and running through the presentation. With this link on the slide, you will be able to see the final result, which takes you through the entire trip, broken down by day and, of course, locations. Each day has its own introduction slide, so we know exactly what happens each and every day.
In A5, we complete the walking tour.
The walking tour uses tools like Google Street View and Screencastify. To start, we'd like to build a script for a walking tour, which you can see here on the slides. We start with local areas close to the university in Stockholm, and we move from locations like the Frescati Sports Center to the Accelerator, and then we build a second walking tour where we go around a square near the Royal Palace in downtown Stockholm. So for our walking tour, we used, again, the Street View and Screencastify, and together we were able to build a video with narration that would guide the viewer around these couple locations within Sweden. The important part is to make sure that when you are using your script, you're timing out your phrasing around the same time that you are completing certain parts of the tour in your video. You're not only giving them locational detail, but you're also making sure that the walking tour provides historical detail about the locations that they are seeing. For example, the Accelerator, which is an exhibit space that allows for students and artists to create and display works of art. We like to give information to the person who's viewing the video to let them know not just what it is they're seeing, but maybe how long it's been there. If it's something like a monument, we want them to know the history behind it. So that is really truly the point of a virtual walking tour, is to be able to guide someone who maybe hasn't been to this location before or has never seen this place on a virtual video tour with narration to let them know what the place is about. For A6, we'll go over the auto transcription service. So the learning objective for the auto transcription service is to learn how to use a cloud-based transcription service in an international context. What this does is you use a transcription service, maybe when you're recording a video meet via Zoom or whatnot, and it'll convert your speech, either live or recorded, into a written or electronic text document. So how our group decided to do this was we created a Zoom video together. We recorded it and then downloaded the speech, the converted speech to text. For the assignment, we were supposed to go over a few questions, but in order to answer those questions, we needed to view some videos. So we decided to split the videos up and have each person watch one, and then we would talk and discuss about what we watched in our videos regarding drones. So the first couple of questions were about reading Professor Geert Hofstede's Insight on Cultural Dimensions and doing a country comparison survey, and then watching the videos about drones. And we decided to go over what our recommended drone applications are for our favorite country, and why Hofstede's cultural dimensions are essential to know concerning our suggestions of using drones to achieve the SDGs in our favorite country. Before we could use the transcribing service, we had to watch a video on how to use the transcribing service, and it didn't take very long to kind of figure that one out, but we were able to use it, and we've gotten about 10 pages. So if you click here for full auto transcription, you'll see all the pages downloaded from our audio in the video. And once we opened up the transcript file, we were able to download it to a Word document and upload that for our assignment. We also wrote a paragraph summarizing what we learned about drone applications
and the Zoom's auto transcription service into our Word document.
For A7, Cultural Activity Treasure Hunt, our group started by exploring the recommended AirPano tool. We realized early on that we would either need to identify an alternative resource or use a location outside of our destination. We decided to move forward with Google Earth as our resource for conducting the scavenger hunt. We read the assigned article discussing different methods for creating a scavenger hunt. We agreed to attempt to integrate some of our personal experiences into the scavenger hunt by finding items that are important to us and to our trip. We all worked through our selected area in Google Earth to identify a list of items that we could use for a scavenger hunt. We then created a verbal clue that would help a seeker find it. We shared these lists with each other and then created a video of our team's attempts to locate one another's scavenger items. It was quick to see how this tool could be used to help students or travelers gain experience and familiarity with a distant area to allow them to quickly become comfortable with a location without actually having to travel there. This might be particularly helpful for any travelers who have anxiety about being in a new place that they're unfamiliar with. Having them work through a scavenger hunt might help them to kind of immerse themselves in it and understand how they might move through this environment when they're actually there in person, just allowing them to become more comfortable. It was also kind of a fun tool for us as the organizers to work through because it forced us to become deeply familiar with the area and the walking paths that are available. And I think as trip organizers, this would be something that would be important to have, to be able to lead a group and be comfortable knowing that, you know, if you go down this path, it's going to take you to bathrooms. If you go down this path, it's going to take you to the next area to view something, or it might take you to a new restaurant or something of that nature, as well as kind of give a description of the area that people should try to contain themselves within. So all in all, we found this tool to be extremely helpful.
Sales pitch, G8. So first for our sales pitch, we created a slogan to emphasize the major benefits of our study abroad trip for the students. Our slogan ended up being Sweden, where the past and sustainable future meets. Next, we created an acronym. We created an acronym using 5 sentences to highlight the distinct features of our study abroad trip. And we made the acronym by combining the first letter of each sentence. So we used the word learn. For L, learning in new places. E, environmentally focused experiences. A, appreciate the rich culture of Sweden. R, research the history and sustainability of Europe. And N, new experiences in the lush Scandinavian landscape. Next, we found relevant pictures to go along with each letter of the word. After that, we answered 5 of the W1H questions. Our first question is, what is the focus of this trip? Exploring the culture and history of Sweden and its modern commitment to sustainable development goals. Who would go on this trip? Students from computer science, business, and environmental science departments of Appalachian State University. Where will this trip take us? This trip will take us to 3 of Sweden's cultural hubs, Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Lund. When should students take this trip? This trip is tentatively scheduled for late spring of 2024. Why should students take this trip? Students should take this trip to expand their horizons and immerse themselves in the culture that has a rich history and a focus on sustainability. How should this trip benefit future academic and professional endeavors? Students should benefit from a multi-week trip with like-minded cohorts to build a foundation for a lifelong commitment to sustainable practices, developing a global mindset which will enhance their performance in future academic and professional endeavors. Next, we created a QR code for interested students to sign up or access our website for more information. Next, we connected our sales pitch to our work breakdown structure. And we described how our sales pitch and process connects to our work breakdown structure. And all of this was all wrapped up into one video that we placed onto a social media website. My personal choice, which is the video in this PowerPoint, was YouTube. Next, we move on to the AI generated images. So we used the AI site provided and we wrote words or sentences and created a painting to reflect the uniqueness of our country. And we typed in words like Sweden, study abroad trip, and it generated these photos here. And these are what we used in our multimedia presentation. For our multimedia presentation, we copied and pasted the AI photos for our first slide of the multimedia slides. This will be the opening slide and will interact with the audience to kind of bring in their mind and interest them, show some interest with these beautiful photos. Next, we created a 30-slide PowerPoint on all the work breakdown structure activities, including academic, cultural, and social activities. Next, we made sure the last slide contained trip application info, including the trip costs, the schedule, contact information, and QR code to complete personal information to apply for the trip. Next, we added free legal music as the background for the multimedia presentation. Then we converted the multimedia presentation into a video with the duration of each presentation being at least 30 seconds. And you can see our finished product on this slide right here.
For the A10 online marketing analytics, we jumped right into the Canva infographic template. We quickly realized how powerful the Canva tools were for creating compelling visual materials. And we were able to use the Canva program to source a variety of images from locations on our trip to include in our template. And I mean, I personally found Canva to be a really powerful office tool that I could see how it might be able to compete with the current business suite offerings available through companies like Microsoft and Google, as it was extremely easy to use and it made it extremely intuitive to create very polished looking visual presentations. So next we decided to use the marketing phrases we had generated from our sales pitch to fill out our marketing video. We used our slogan on the intro page and then showed B-roll of scenes from locations on our trip with voiceovers of our acronym phrases. We shared the video with students, friends, and family and on social media. This really showed us how difficult it is to create marketing videos that gain traction without using paid services to boost the visual or the placement of your video. We were not able to reach the level of market penetration that we had hoped using this method. I think one roadblock that we faced was making sure people understood that this was not an actual trip opportunity. I think people were less inclined to maybe invest the time to watch a marketing video for something that they would not have an opportunity to actually participate in. I think we could have had more success if we had made a video educating people on some aspects of Sweden that may be related to our trip and pose it as just a quick educational video versus an actual marketing video. And then we uploaded a photo from the YouTube analytics page for our assignment and as you learn. On this slide, you'll see a link to play our marketing video that we posted on YouTube and shared with friends, family, students, as well as attempted to get some traffic by sharing on our social media accounts.